Hi, it's Adam Anderson, owner and founder of WealthGuard Advisors. Thank you for being with us.
Hello, I'm Blake Anderson, a certified financial planner. Thanks for joining.
Before we get started, I just want to remind you that past performance is not a guarantee of future results, so we may or may not have interest in buying or selling the things that we're talking about today. So read the disclosures carefully at the end of this video. Today, we wanted to start off talking about, like we normally do, just the overall action of the S&P 500 in the market in general. So here we are looking at the S&P 500, and we had a sell-off in November. We had a nice sharp return, and it's not quite breached the previous high. Blake and I had a little concern about this. Blake, you want to talk about why this is significant?
Yeah, it's never a good sign when after we have a correction like we had in November that the recovery does not breach the prior highs. And while technically the close did on Thursday was higher than the prior high close, the intraday was not. So it's kind of a mixed signal. And so we're just going to be watching this closely to see if we have further breakdown into the end of the year and into the new year. But I expect things to be relatively light through the end of the year. Just with holidays, it's usually we see lighter volumes.
Yeah, I mean, we could see that Santa Claus rally, but I just don't know that we're going to see it this year. It seems like we might consolidate and just maybe drift. Now, we are still within a percent or two from the all-time highs. So it's not like we're in a bad position. We're actually in a good position. But likelihood is that it might go a little sideways or maybe even consolidate a little bit over the next few weeks as we come into the end of the year. And as we come into the new year, we'll see what that brings us. Great. So today we really want to talk about cryptocurrencies. We get a lot of conversations with our clients about this, questions, inquiries about our feelings on this. And sometimes people will send us videos that they see. They want us to interpret what they've seen and tell us about it. So recently, Ripple became an exchange-traded fund. It's traded on the exchanges under the symbol XRP. So this has caused a lot of internet buzz and also people on the internet creating videos, kind of hyping it up. Blake, you want to just kind of walk us through cryptocurrency exchange, blockchain technology and such?
Yeah, so cryptocurrencies really came about originally with Bitcoin. And the concept behind Bitcoin is that each Bitcoin out there has a non-fungible trace of every transaction that's happened to it. So you can always prove that this is the Bitcoin, this is where it went, and it's decentralized. So no one person could take control of that Bitcoin and change it.
Right. So it's not centralized. The one place that has that information, one place. It's on this chain of information that's repeating that information.
Yeah, and it's a pretty neat little piece of technology, programming, and that concept has then been iterated on and improved upon in various ways, focusing on different aspects of it. And that's where we get all these little cryptocurrencies out there. But mainly they fall into 3, maybe 4 main categories. So the first category would be Bitcoin and its comparables. There's plenty out there, where the idea is just a store of value. You can think of it as digital gold. It's how it's like to be described. And really that's because there's only so many Bitcoins out there, and there's proof that there's only so many. So if you have one, no one else could have it. And it's sort of this, high-tech replacement for the prior functionality that gold or precious metals had in the past. The second one, the main one that comes to mind is Ethereum or Ether. This is a cryptocurrency really based around that, the non-fungible aspect of cryptocurrencies. And it's used as a technological basis for contracts, business-to-business transactions, things like that. And it's really the basis for a lot of new apps, software that people are coming out with using this underlying inability to alter the cryptocurrency. So it's got a big technological aspect around it. And then the third one would be the one that recently made headlines with its new ETF around it is Ripple. XRP is its symbol. And that's main functionality is its transferability. And one of the problems with Bitcoin is that it's computationally expensive and therefore it takes a lot of energy and processing power every time you move a Bitcoin. And so Ripple seeks to solve that by being easy to transfer. And so its use case is basically making crypto transactions easier, cheaper. And so it's used as a stand-in when instead of moving Bitcoins, which are expensive relatively to move, you can move a lot of Ripple a lot easier. Yeah, the fourth would be stable coins. So that's a cryptocurrency that's tagged to usually the dollar or some other fiat currency out there.
Right. So, as you have something that is pegged towards a dollar or fiat currency, it's stable. Whereas the concern with Bitcoin is you could pay for something or transfer a large sum of money. By the time it got there, it may not be worth that same amount because Bitcoin has more volatility to it. Where a pegged currency, which I guess Ripple is, and or Tether would be tied to a dollar or something that's a little bit more predictable in that. So there's one of the concerns that, or one of the applications, I should say, is the banks using this to transfer money as opposed to the SWIFT program. So being able to transfer large sum of money quicker, faster, and a cheaper cost is very appealing. So we see banks will implementing this. Matter of fact, I read a nice article that talked about like Visa, MasterCard could be the underlying beneficiaries of this because as they adopt this technology, they're able to could transfer money faster and cheaper. So there's an application. Are banks going to go away because of this technology? I don't think so. Is the Federal Reserve going to go away because of this technology? I don't think so. But are all these indices are all going to work together to become faster and more efficient? That is something that is definitely the case. Do you agree with that, Blake?
Yeah. And one of the big questions around cryptocurrencies right now is which, if any, of the current cryptocurrencies are going to be utilized to facilitate that sort of easier banking transactions that banks do need to adapt. The days of, 3-day settlement it's not reality anymore. We need things to settle in seconds. And that's what cryptocurrency can do. The question is it going to be one of the current offerings out there, like a US dollar backed coin? The biggest is Tether right now. There's also a US dollar coin. Or is it going to be some new cryptocurrency, maybe one created by the Federal Reserve or some conglomeration of banks out there? And that's really where the risk is on these, is what will ultimately be adapted.
I want to talk a little bit about the chart of Ripple. So I brought up the chart here of XRP, and it came out back on November 20th. And so far, it has not been a very good investment. We hit a high of 25.64. We're down to just under $21 at the moment. So it is lost 20% of its value, actually, almost, not quite. So it hasn't been a very good investment. So the thesis is that people buy on the rumor that it's going to become a publicly traded trust, and they sell on the news. Now it is a publicly traded trust on a public exchange, and therefore it could be, people are taking their value off it. So the big early adapters are cashing in on this. So there is a wave of selling that is going on right now. How long will it take till the settles out and moves the other direction? I don't know. But there's a lot of hype on the internet, people buying it. And I wanted to tell a story about, I was at a concert on Friday, and I was talking to a gentleman that stood near me, and he found out I was in the investment business. He asked me about Bitcoin, or asked me about cryptocurrency, specifically about Ripple. We had a conversation about it. He had seen videos on Facebook or something. And then the gentleman that was sitting on the other side of me engaged that he had also seen it, and that he had actually bought some on this. So there is a lot of hype around this right now, with compelling information, cryptocurrency being available by major banks on that. So a number of large banks are allowing, or investment companies are allowing the investment of cryptocurrency becoming much more available.
Yeah. So because of this is a new technology and new to the financial sector. The broader financial industry has been slower to adapt to cryptos. Originally, when you traded cryptocurrency, you directly held the cryptocurrency in what's called a wallet. It's basically a way to store these large private keys, these large numbers that basically act as your identifier for it. And it takes a little bit of technical know-how to do that, especially when we're looking at older investors, less technologically savvy investors out there. And so one of the protections that the financial industry has come up with is that they've decided will allow trading of cryptocurrencies, but they have to be in the form of these funds, where the fund manager has all the technical know-how to store and account for where's all the cryptocurrency and keeping track of all that side of things. And then the investors can access it through these funds. And that's what we as a registered investment advisory firm is allowed to do for our clients, is access these through their funds. So we've seen over the last year and a half-ish since originally Bitcoin funds were allowed. And then over the last year, there's been a few others. Ether was next. And then recently XRP and Solana is another one that recently had a fund launched. And there's also some mixed funds. So they bag a few smaller cryptocurrencies into a fund that's also available now. That is how the broader financial industry is able to access cryptocurrencies without needing the technical know-how and the difficulties in accounting that come along with it for accessing cryptocurrencies directly.
So one of the things that I think this is really great, because there's a higher level of accountability, a higher level of predictability. But what we have seen is people that have got suckered into fraud schemes where they're, told they could buy some kind of cryptocurrency, and they're going to open a wallet. They think they're opening a wallet, and they end up just like sending money to a fraudulent source, and there's no way to get that money back. So it is a little bit buyer beware. If you're going out and opening a wallet, make sure you're using a credible source to do that. And if you don't want to have to deal with the risk and liability or the accounting problems that go along with just owning a crypto in a crypto wallet, then owning it in a trust in your brokerage account is really the best solution. You have tax accounting, you have reliability that it's there. You have insurances from the brokerage firm that what you own is there. So it's really the best way to go. So if you have interest in knowing more, want to have that in your portfolio, you want to be an investor, you don't want to miss out, etc., talk to us. We can make sure that you have some exposure. I wouldn't be too gung-ho, but it wouldn't hurt maybe to have some in your portfolio if that's something you believe in. Blake, you want to close this out?
Yeah, thanks so much for listening. Just a reminder, WealthGuard Advisors, we're a registered investment advisory firm. And as part of that, we have a fiduciary responsibility to our clients. We put our clients' best interests first. Our team specializes in personalized asset management and custom financial planning to meet your needs and goals. So if that's something that you're interested in, we work with a straightforward fee-only basis. No setup fee, no exit fee, just transparent pricing for the services we provide. If you're ready to take that next step, or you'd like to learn more about what we talked about or anything other else out there, we'd love to talk with you and do a free consultation to see if we could be a good fit for your needs. Thanks so much for listening. We'll see you next time.
Thank you for watching, and have a happy holiday. And we're thankful that you're watching, and we'll look forward to talking to you next week.